Hi, and welcome to this video series, Everyday Prophetic, where we talk to regular people about how they hear from God and use their prophetic gift. Today, I would like to welcome my friend Anderson. Welcome, Anderson.
Hello.
Anderson is a Brazilian living in Rio de Janeiro. And we actually met through one of those amazing God circumstances where we were both going to the same conference, and Anderson needed a ride from the airport, and we'd never met. We were on a Facebook group, and I was like, I'll take you to the conference. And we spent 4 or 5 hours in the car driving to this conference, getting to know each other. And I learned about Anderson's amazing gift in photography, amongst other things. And we've just been friends since then. And so welcome, Anderson. I'm so happy that you are here all the way from Rio de Janeiro. Now, I mean this as a compliment. You're just a regular guy, right? You're not a pastor. You have a normal job.
Yes, a normal guy, not a pastor. Normal guy in the church also.
Yeah. And yet you have a desire to hear from God and to use your prophetic gift. What attracts you to the prophetic? Why do you want to pursue hearing from God?
Yeah, I think prophetic is about connecting God's heart to people's hearts. And I'm really passionate about that, about bring God to people's life, So I think it's that. It's my great passion about prophetic. It's talking about God to show people how God is close to them, It's about connecting them to God.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that. And so for you, if you're able to describe it, how do you hear from God?
Well, I think I hear from God in our services, in our meetings,
yes.
During the worship moments. But I have two special moments where it's really easy to me hear His voice. The first one is when I'm reading the Bible. It's really easy reading and hear His voice through the story, through the Psalms, through the Gospels. And the second is when I'm in contact with nature. It's really, really easy to me hear His voice, and I'm in a place when I'm seeing mountains and trees and all that nature, because the creation speaks about God. So when I'm in contact with nature, it's really, really easy to hear His voice.
I love that. That's so beautiful. And combined with that, you have a gift for photography. And I was wondering if you could explain how you use your photography and the prophetic together.
Yeah. As I was saying, it's easy to me to see God in the nature. So I really like to take pictures of landscapes and sunrises and sunsets, and take these moments, these pictures, and sometimes write some verses of the Bible, and I don't know, and take all of that and deliver to someone as a perfect action, as a God's message. I think it's my way to bless people, taking pictures of the nature, and I don't know, hearing what God is talking about that moment, and give that to someone,
Yeah, I love that. I think it's such a simple yet profound thing to do, to be hearing from God and then to share that with someone. Do you have a example of how that's impacted somebody? Has anyone given you feedback?
Yes, there was a couple of missionaries. They were going to China, and they were really in doubt about go or not go there. And I understand that I did a picture to them, was a kind of a sunrise moment, and I was watching the sky, and a half of the sky was night, and half of the sky was day, and I took that moment and was talking about transition, you know, and I take this picture and I give to that couple of missionaries, and they had a confirmation of to go to China because it was a really transition moment. So it was an example. I think God speaks about through these pictures.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love that. So when you're deciding which picture, how are you prompted? Is it just like I think this would be good for that person, or is there an emotion? I'm just trying to kind of tease out how that feels for you.
I don't know. I take a lot of pictures and I keep them with me, you know. And when I take a picture, I don't know. There's a verse that remind me that moment, and I use it to write the verse in that pictures. And sometimes in the church with my friends, I don't know, some meetings, I remember those pictures, and I can deliver, you know, and act perfectly.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so awesome. And the other way you were saying that God speaks to you is through scripture, which is beautiful. I was wondering, is there any advice you would give people as they're reading their Bible to help hear, like tune in? What's your process?
Well, I have my moment of reading Bible. I think it's really important because we are in a really rush time. You know, we have many activities, so it's really important to have your moment, your devotional. I don't know if I can say
Yes.
devotional. Uh, you have that moment to read, to calm down, and to. So sometimes you don't understand what you are reading, but you must continue. You must keep going and have your moment. I think it's the best advice to start hearing God's voice through the lecture of the word.
Absolutely. That's so good. I mean, his word is there, so he's always speaking, isn't he?
Yes, exactly.
Do you have any other examples of when you felt God prompting you to be obedient and to maybe say something to someone or to do a prophetic act?
Yes. I think we cannot disassociate hearing His voice and obedience. You just can hear His voice and do nothing. And many times I hear His voice asking me to go to a person and encourage the person or healing for his knee or for his first, I don't know. And we must obey, you know. We don't have another choice. It's like I like faith and obedience. You know that obedience is the act of faith, and I think it's the same. You hear His voice and you must act, even in moments that God speaks to us. When you are in a rush time, and we have our anxious time, and God speaks to us, calm down, be quiet, I'm in control. You must obey. You have the possibility to say no, to keep going in this rush, but you must obey. You know. So I think it's that they are really connected. Hear His voice and act, and obey and act.
Yeah, I love how you link that together, because I think the more we obey, the more we hear. So we obey, like it builds, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think people who just listen and don't act, they become a mystical people, So we are really act according to what we are hearing from God.
Yeah, and I really believe the prophetic is not meant to be kept to ourselves. Like you say, it's meant to be shared. It's a gift, not just to the church, but to the world. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. So if you had to give someone an encouragement, maybe they don't feel that they hear from God, how would you encourage them to practice or to begin to grow in their ability to hear from God?
Well, I think the word is availability, I guess. You must be available to God and be bold, We must be bold, because sometimes God speaks to us and we think we're not prepared, but we must hear and we must act, being bold and always being available. We can't say, no, not now. I think we must be this kind of heart, an available heart to God.
I love that. Availability and boldness. we all need more of that. That's so amazing. And I think with the prophetic gift, it is a gift that you have to give space in your life to, because you might have a plan. I'm going from A to B, and God says, oh, I want you to go talk to this person. It can be inconvenient.
And I am the person who like to be prepared for everything. I like to have my script, write everything, and sometimes God speaks to us and we are surprised. But we must hear, we must act, we must obey.
Yeah. Do you have an example of when God took you on a detour?
I don't know. It's common, but an example. And I think once I was in a mall, in a shopping mall, and I went there with to speak something about someone, and God shows me a woman. She showed me her hair, her face, and I went there and I walked and I didn't find her, and I gave up, and I heard God say, no, come back, go to a perfume store, and she was there. I think that's hard, but sometimes we gave up, but God not yet, and He speaks to us again, and we must correct our way.
So for people who maybe this is a new thing, when you say you saw her, you didn't physically see her yet. It was
not exactly, but the shape and the hair, and I don't know. And I when I saw her, I was sure that was the person that God had shown me before.
Wow, that's incredible. And I think God wants to show us these things more than perhaps we're ready to hear it, because it does require that obedience and that boldness. But that's such an encouraging story because you went for God, but then you're like, it's been a while, haven't seen her. But you went back and you saw her at the perfume store. That's amazing.
Yes.
Okay, well, as we kind of wrap up, I want to ask if there's one thing that you want people to know about hearing from God or growing in the prophetic, what would be one encouragement or one piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah, I think every believer should be prophetic, not to be a prophet, but be prophetic. And again, prophetic talks to me a lot about connect God's heart to people's heart. And I think you must have a sensible heart, a sensible mind to hear God's voice and bless everyone that is around you to edify your church. So have this sensible heart, sensible mind
Mm,
to hear His voice and act prophetically.
yeah,
I think
that's
is that.
yeah, that's awesome. And I like how you say we should all be prophetic, not necessarily a prophet, but we should all
Yeah.
be prophetic. And it's to bless people. I think that's so key, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
whatever is your ministry, if you are a pastor, if you are a teacher, an evangelist, I think we must have this heart, this sensible
Mm,
heart. No? Whatever is your minister and whatever you do, you must have this passion about being prophetic.
yeah. Yeah. That's so awesome. Well, Anderson, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you being here. And it's so wonderful to hear from a brother in another country who's pursuing the prophetic.
Yeah.
Uh, it, Anderson is on Instagram, and I will put his Instagram handle below if anyone wants to see his beautiful photos.
Well, I thank you so much for this opportunity. I feel really honored to be here. So thank you so much. I wish that God bless you more and more with your channel, with your initiativity. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Obrigado.
De nada.